You are watching or listening to Purham and Associates. For more information, visit rpurham.com and subscribe on all social media platforms at rpurham. Thank you. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Hey, good day to you all. Happy fantastic Friday. I hope you all are doing well and y'all are excited for the weekend like I am. Although, in my line of work and in my world and my life, weekends really don't even matter. There's just more people to deal with. But anyways, I hope y'all are having a fantastic week thus far. And like I said, looking forward to the weekend. We got a lot going on this month. It's just been a whirlwind of stuff. But we're getting through it. But before we move on any further, you know it is Friday, and this is the time that we take to thank our men and women who are serving our nation around the world, sacrificing and committing their time and their freedom in protecting our freedom, our Constitution, and our way of life. We want to thank you. We salute you and wish you a safe journey back home to your friends, family, and loved ones, wherever that may be. And y'all keep kicking ass out there. Truly appreciate it. So today, we got a very special guest with us. Now you know, she's co-host. So we kicking it off this evening to talk about some crazy stuff that's going on in our society, you know, and we're gonna get it in a little bit today. So, Tiff, how you doing? Well,
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm living a dream. You know, just grinding as usual. And so it's just, yeah, it's a Friday evening, and I'm trying to wind down a little bit, you know, and get rid. But like I said, the weekends don't matter to me because tomorrow I'm super busy. So, but it is what it is. You know, I enjoy it. So that's what I'm be on. So, what's going on in your neck of the woods?
Nothing but the weather. For the most part, everyone's talking about how humid it is, because I think this is the first year where we've had this much humidity or this high temperature of humidity. So now we're expected to hit 117. Those temperatures are common, but when you get around 110 with, 40% humidity or 35% humidity, when we only usually get like 10 or 12, it's a difference. People are like moving really slowly here.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel you there. This week it was hotter than a gnat's ass in hell. So it was sitting in 112s this week. I think it was like, what was it, yesterday? I think yesterday was like 106. 106 yesterday. Day before that was 112 when I got in the car. And even with the AC going and got down the street and all that, it dropped down to 110. You know, just like, geez, this is hot. It's been nasty. And the humidity has been a little high here in Texas. I'm not going to say this is unseasonably high, but it's been higher than what I normally remember. Usually in August is when it gets really hot. But for some reason, July, late July like this, I don't know. But it is Texas, and you're in Nevada, so these are considered, hot places in the United States. So, but it is what it is. We'll get through it. We'll be all right, So, but Tiff, our society has gone back. You know what? Crazy. I'm trying to cut back on using profanity, but not really. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So, but yes, our society has gone batshit crazy, and the what's evident of it is the state of Maine's senatorial race on the Democratic Party side. Now, these
Okay.
cast of characters, that's what I'm calling them, a cast of characters. They're well, one of them was like two of them, one or two of these guys. They were all right. I'm like, okay, you can kind of get by, but I'm setting the stage here, ladies and gentlemen, because we have a cast of characters that feel like they can just wake up and go down to the elections office and fill out paperwork and run for office, not having a single iota of a clue as to what they're doing, what they're running for, why they're running, and what they're going to do if they win. And I think there should be a set of metrics in place, a set of standards to say if you're going to run for office, this is the criteria you need to stay within. And
Correct.
this right here is going to be evident. What I'm about to show, ladies and gentlemen, is evident of what I'm talking about. And this is not to necessarily poke fun at anybody, but I'm poking fun at everybody. So here we go.
Let's start with how well you are known or not known to the voters. I think it's fair to say that there are varying degrees of recognition you have, but for certainly two of you candidates, 99% of people in Maine had never heard of you 48 hours ago, maybe 6 or 7 minutes ago. So let me start with you, Lizzie Dickerson.
Sure.
What qualifications do you have to serve in what is not an entry-level job? What is an extremely important job in the United States?
Well, I actually have a Master's of Business Administration degree. I am a finance person as well. There is a lot of education I have on board in this department. I'm pretty good at reading budgets. I'm actually a town manager. I have been a town manager, and I can say that I've lowered people's taxes while also raising salaries and benefits. So there's there's one thing. But no, it's true. I mean, but I think the reason I'm doing this is because people have become disenfranchised. They feel like everyday people can't have access to their own government. The qualification for running for office doesn't really involve pretty fancy things. It involves being a citizen. As you know, you've probably read the Constitution and the laws. People feel like they just can't do that because there's so much money in government. They can't run. They'd never stand a prayer of a chance, and so that's why I've done it.
Dan Cleveland.
Actually, want to do something different. I want to do commentary after each one speaks instead of all of them collectively. What are your thoughts on what you just said?
I like her background.
Yeah.
I think that, understanding that she has some type of expertise in the field, if you will. I think that's great. She can handle budgets. She has done things to improve her own community. And again, I agree also with the statement that if you are running for office, then you should also be running for people. The whole reason why you do that is to find out the problems in your community and work it out with the government as you are the, mouthpiece or negotiator for that district. So I believe in that. I believe that part. And I think she's pretty well qualified.
Yeah, no, I do too. Don't get me wrong. I think she got a good head on her shoulders. Now, I will say, her premise, though, as to like access to government, to elected officials and stuff like that, that barrier is, to me, not really a qualifying reason to run, because what you're saying is that the average everyday people don't know how to contact the legislature, which may be true. Now, don't get me wrong, but it's not an intimidation. It's not, to me, it shouldn't be an intimidation factor. Just because you don't have money doesn't mean that you don't have access. And so I want to dispel that rumor for the audience. You could pick up the phone.
I agree with that.
Or send an email to your legislator and say, hey, I would like to set up a meeting and have a conversation with you, coffee in your office, wherever. You could do that Now whether or not they blow you off or whatnot, that's something totally different, but you have the access to them, in that regard. It's not like, hey, I got $1 million, so you need to talk to me type of thing. No, it's, you just have to take the due diligence to reach out and say, hey, I would like to, meet you, talk to you, get some ideas or, run some ideas by you type of thing. That's up to the person. Now, I would say also that in doing that, these legislators, they dealing with hundreds of thousands of people a day. So yes, you can't let just any old body come up and talk to you type of thing. And I get that because we got some crazy people out there. And not even crazy people, but you got people that just like, you can't do anything for them, type of thing, depending on what kind of office you're in. If you're a U.S. congressman or senator, you can't talk to somebody about the local water pipe, being clogged type of thing. You could probably put in a phone call or two, but outside of that though, you be like, okay, talk to your city council member, talk to your county commissioner. That's their lane, type of thing. So there's some filtering that needs to happen, sure. But all in all, I don't think there's a reason to say that the average person doesn't have access because of financial constraints. That to me, I
see what she's saying. I think people just don't reach out to the government. Not necessarily that they don't know to reach out. I don't think that I'm not going to say that they don't care, but they just don't really think it's important to take the time.
Right. Yeah.
So,
exactly.
you know what I mean? So you're relying upon the elected officials to communicate everything on your behalf.
Yeah.
So why should they call the office and ask any questions? Because that is the reason he's elected that official, right? So, and then too, let me say this because I just had that recent experience here, and I went to a groundbreaking ceremony a few months ago, and one of the councilman was supposedly there, but he sent his representative, and one of my friends or colleagues had a question. So we presented the question to his assistant, and his assistant gave us the card and everything, the protocol cards. They're going to call. Did we get a call back? No, we didn't. We didn't. And it's not because of the money. It's because, did we make the call? Yes, we did. Did we get a call back? Did we receive a good response from that? No, we didn't. So I can say in that respect that people probably don't try to do that because they get the same responses. Oh, I'll get back to you, and then nobody calls you back.
Yeah.
So now you want somebody who's going to be, that type of person to make sure that the things that are important to the people are taken care of.
Right. And, in that situation there, the power is in the follow up, and that is, they give you their card. I'm like, okay, that's nice. You give me your card to call you, but what's your number? And let me try you out right now. You got phone check. You got phone check cat. You got phone check cat right there on the spot.
It was that. And it's, it's on both sides of the coin here. It's both teams playing, and they do that. And so and especially if you're in a forum and they really don't want to answer your question, they will say, "Please talk to my assistant."
Yep.
And then you're not going to get a call then either.
Exactly. Because
the assistant is way too busy to call you back, but it shouldn't be that way.
And that's where, ladies and gentlemen, you take it to X and you ask the question, you tag them. And if they, you tell them you're going to get a response, you're going to keep tagging them. And then you're going to put it in the local newspaper, then the county newspaper, then the state newspaper until your question is answered. That's how you hold people accountable.
Well, what do you have to do all that?
Yeah, we shouldn't have to do all that. But, in this day and age, hey, it is what it is. All right, let's finish this up.
Yeah, well, I am not a career politician. I've spent the last 20 years starting a business out of my garage, raising twins. I've grown my business from me and my brother to now over 100 employees. We provide a living wage. We cover 100% of their health insurance premiums. We provide for their retirement, and we've given millions of dollars back into our community to help preserve this wonderful state that we live in. In addition to that, I've served on numerous nonprofit boards. I'm on the board of the University of Southern Maine, my alma mater, and I've also served as the leader of the Maine Brewers Guild, helping small businesses grow small businesses here in Maine and revolutionize the beer industry in this state. And I went on to serve as the chair of our National Brewers Association, representing the interests of over 9,000 small businesses across this country, and making sure that small businesses had a seat at the table against the large multinational brewers. So people know Dan Kleban in Maine, and so I think people are sick and tired of career politicians, and I'd look to go down to D.C. and bring that kind of unique experience, which is sorely lacking.
Actually,
He has my vote. Just
I know. I'm with them.
Yeah.
Too. I'm with them too.
Yeah,
He said
very
he hit
polished.
all the major points.
yeah,
Very polished.
hmm
He started his business, grew his business, reached out to others who are doing the same thing, supported other businesses. I mean, really everything that you should do in your community, and then say, now I want to run for office because I know I'm a good representative for the community.
Yeah, no, I agree. The only thing that if I had to critique is the fact of running on the idea that you're not going to be a career politician, but you also didn't say I'm committed to only doing just one term and getting out of here and going back to my community type of thing. So essentially, you're going to get in there and you're going to get established and you're going to become a career politician. So don't say to me. I hate when candidates say that they're running against the establishment. They're running against being a career politicians and stuff like that. It's like, well, you're running to be a part of that. So you are going to become the establishment. You are going to be a career politician if you're not going to already upfront commit yourself to only 1 or 2 terms in office. So don't you're right out the gate lying to me as a candidate if you're coming under that.
Okay.
So that's just how I look at it.
To say a career politician means that you're distinguishing and giving a distinct difference, I should say, between who you are and what the historical politician has done. So you're trying to separate yourself and say, hey, I'm not that guy. I'm not going to sit in this seat more than I need to. Term limits, which I am firmly in agreement with, and I'm going to do my job, and then I'm going to pass the torch on. And that's what I got out of it. When you say career politician, it's just to say the difference between you and someone else. Like, you're not going to carry on the same rhetoric. You're not going to do the same thing. That's how I took it.
Yeah, it could very well be. He could mean that way. But, most of these candidates that I hear, when they say, "Oh, I'm against the establishment and I'm gonna shake things up," it's like, no, you're not.
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
Just stop.
Yeah.
Just say,
yeah,
run
it's
on your
not gonna
platform
happen.
and let it be there. Let it be there from there. You ain't gotta talk tough,
Right?
Because when you get elected and you get into that seat, you're not gonna have a clue as to what you're doing. You're just not, because you're going through the training, you're going through the briefings, you're going through orientation. It's just a job.
Exactly.
So you're not running anything. As a matter of fact, those other established politicians, they're gonna be coming to your office telling you what to do. Like, hey, new kid, go down here and set up the conference room, type of thing. That's what you're gonna be doing. So,
Right.
I give it to them. They all have ambitions. I get it. So, but all right, let's see what the next person's talking about.
Webb, what qualifications do you have to serve in the U.S. Senate?
Oh, I ran for office several times. Didn't win, but I did run. And then I'm a songwriter, and then I write my own books. And then I suppose my transparency, I wouldn't lie to the people, and I wouldn't deceive the people like we're being deceived right now. Like, we get lied to. Smoke and mirrors, like what's going on with ICE, pretending like these victims did something wrong. Like, that's unacceptable. And I suppose the biggest thing is, like, I'm just an angry citizen now, and if I got elected, I'd be an angry senator, and I think that would probably be their worst nightmare.
David Costello.
Yeah.
That's a lot there, because Let's start with deception. Deception. You are a man dressed as a woman, fully looking like a woman. Can we really talk about deception?
I got Mrs. Doubtfire.
Can we talk about deception? Okay, let's start there.
Yeah. I get it. You're mad at ICE. You're mad, at the world. I would be if I was him, I would be mad too.
But no, that wasn't a he. The name was Ashley Webb. But then you know what? Ashley could be
It's unisex.
male or female.
Yes, I have a good friend. Ashley. His name is. I actually know a couple people named Ashley that are males. So yeah, it is a unisex name. So there's I guess you could say, the deception in itself, right there, is that you're carrying a unisex name and you're portraying yourself as a woman, and this is how people get shot in the parking lot, leaving the club at night. this is that recipe right there, and so you gotta stop lying to people. Okay, the trans community, they just gotta stop lying to people, and or trying to force us to lie with them at that. And what I mean by that, ladies and gentlemen, is I'm not going to address if a trans person came to me and said my pronouns is he, she, they, them, or she, her, and they're clearly a dude. I'm not going to lie for you. I'm not going to lie with you. So don't compel me to lie by addressing you as something that you're not, because you're making me utter a lie. And this is society.
Right.
Society today needs to get back to that. And that's how you kill that noise. It's like, I'm not going to play in your fantasy world with you. Okay. I live in the reality, and I live, if you want to pretend that, then take your ass over there and do that. But don't come at me and try to force me to live your lie with you. I'm just not doing it.
You know what I don't know if you know. Yeah. I personally think that a lot of men on the planet wish they were women, right? So they know that women are very powerful. Look at the Kardashians. Okay, that case in point. Caitlyn, I think, decided that power was in the possession of women, and let me change my gender to reflect that, so maybe I could have the same amount of power. Now, in his own right, before he became Caitlyn, he had a lot of power. He was, magnificent. His genius marketing and all the things that he had accomplished were his own. But I really kind of was thrown off when he decided to be a woman. And the only thing I could think of in that regard was that maybe, he was with some very, very powerful women and he wanted to share in that experience. I don't know. Because in his own right before that, he was, a golden child at one time. And, when I looked at the marketing for that family and what came from him and his expertise, it was like, wow, I was so impressed. So you lost me there trying to change genders.
Yeah, he was a gold medalist, and I get it, and to your point, you're absolutely right. There are men out there that, they're around women, and growing up in a household full of women does not necessarily mean that you're going to become emasculated. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to become feminine and whatnot. I grew up in a household of a lot of women, although I had men in the household, as well. But the predominant amount of my time was spent around women, growing up in a household, being a single mom household type of thing, and so maybe I'm just a lucky case. I don't know, and my siblings, because none of my siblings are like, we all are, gender normal, type of people. So I say all that to say that just because you grow up in that household, you're around women all the time as a man, that conversion is a hit or miss, right? and I think it goes deeper into a more of a psychological thing, like you were just saying, like you're seeing them being all in these powerful roles, doing all these things, and they're getting away with stuff. I ain't gonna say getting away with, but they're doing things that as a man you wouldn't be able to get away with. So there's that, yes, but now in today's society, it's something different. It's a different ballpark. It's a different weird world where men are trying to become women. And it's not under the disguise of what we're talking about as, I want to emulate that glamorous life. No, it's just like I'm having confused thoughts, and I'm not sure what I want to be, so I'm gonna be this instead. It's more of that. So that it speaks more to mental illness rather than envy, if that makes sense. And so I don't know. It's a weird space that we're in. Mm-hmm.
It is a weird space, and I think you're right. I mean, let's go back to the basics. Let's just be simple about it, not complicate things and confuse people. Because when you have all those titles, you don't know what to say, and sometimes if you're not educated on how to approach someone like that, it's going to be difficult. I mean, what do you say? You can't use Mrs. You can't, you know what I mean? Like the reference, your surname. You can't use any of that. What do you say? So I just try to not even go there. And what is your name? What is your name? That's
actually a clip. I wish I would have uploaded that about that. And it was a pretty funny short clip though. But yeah, no, I agree. It's just crazy to me. But we got a couple more minutes on this.
And then wait a minute, one more thing. And to run on the premise that you're angry and then you want to get in there and make other people angry, negative. You can't do that. Like, who's going to vote for you?
Yeah.
If you're running on anger, you're an angry citizen, and now you're going to go in with an angry attitude. And what are you going to accomplish? Okay, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right about that. Yeah, you're running on feelings. Okay. Whatever.
Like Dan, I haven't held elective office, but I have, as I mentioned earlier, I've held senior level positions for over 27 years, actually. I was a top aide to Maine Secretary of State. I was a top aide to the Mayor of Baltimore. I was a top aide to the Mayor of Baltimore when he became governor. I also served as a country program manager for USAID and a country team leader for USAID, OTI, in countries like Cambodia, Kosovo, Bosnia, Haiti. I also helped to run the state's Department of the Environment in Maryland. So I've got over 27 years of senior level hands-on government experience. I believe I have the most experience of any of the candidates in this race for the United States Senate. I've also managed, instead of just talking about or legislating about public policy, I've actually managed complex multi-million-dollar operations and programs, not only in the United States, but as I've said, abroad. So I think that kind of perspective, as well as having grown up in a working class family with a single mother, widowed at 28, I think that kind of lived experience is one that's missing in Congress, and I think I could bring that kind of governing experience as well as lived experience, and that's why I believe I've got the most experience of the candidates and would provide the greatest contrast with Senator Collins, who has very little hands-on government experience.
Mm-hmm. Wait.
Yeah.
That statement needs to be called on.
Sure.
You just said Senator Collins has very little hands-on experience?
I'm talking about the kind of hands-on, get your hands dirty, managing programs and operations, governmental programs. As you know, a legislator will talk a lot about programs, will talk a lot about legislation, but they've never fully managed the kind of operations and programs that I believe I have. And that's the kind of contrast I'm talking about.
Okay.
All right. I would draw my vote from the other guy, and I'm giving it to this guy. or I could vote for. In the state of Maine, I could probably vote for both of them.
Right. I don't know if I'm sold, though. I'm sold in the fact that, yes, he has all this political experience. But I was kind of lost when he threw in the fact that he the son of a single mom. Is that where that came from? And that was just thrown in so that we know he is compassionate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
because
that was
we went
that was
on.
fine. He wedged that in there. I mean, that was good. He has I guess you could say awareness of audience awareness. Like, let me plug in something to connect to everybody, type of thing. So
But wait,
he ran down his resume and plugged in some personal stuff along the way. I
right.
thought that was
But
good.
again, I'm trying to understand, did that help him make his decisions? How did that play a key part of his career?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
I think that was just thrown in like, hey, by the way, here's a little side note. And yeah.
Yeah, possibly. And I agree with you. I agree with you. It was I guess you say kind of like a offshoot thing, but I see the appropriateness of it at the same time. Is once again speaking to the everyday person and says, I came up in a single mother household, and just go on. And it's kind of like,
Yeah, but you're not. Okay, but here, I'm going to disagree with this. But here's where I come to I disagree because he never quite fully, connected the dots to why he could be effective as he was the son of a single parent and mother at that. Now, okay, I get it. I totally get it. But I lost the translation. It's like, oh, let me quickly throw that out there so that you could give me a moment to bond with you.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you. Okay. The transition there, it didn't quite fit, but I get why he did it. So that's to be.
But see, that's not enough. That's just not enough. All the qualifications.
Yes. As a consultant. As a consultant, I would tell him, put that up front. Growing up in a single mother household, I was conditioned.
We'll expand on that story a little bit.
Yeah. And, I was trained, I was conditioned. I was taught, to, do hard work and be a grinder, in everything that I do. And as a result, I, ran a Fortune 500 company and I got into these policies and I became an ambassador. Yeah. All that, so I would put that up front and then, expound on it as the result of being in a single mother household type of thing. That's how I would put that.
Because to someone who's thinking like I am, it's just like, okay, you just said that just to kind of bond temporarily with someone. And then you're going to go back to business as usual. I mean, at least Biden said, he gave his whole background story and he kind of made you feel where he came from, right?
Yeah.
So, but there's no feeling in this.
Yeah, and let's give grace
a little bit.
They all had like a minute and a half to give why they qualify for the job. So I'm kind of upset with myself because I thought this was the clip where the Ashley where Ashley was going to talk about how they just want to use the bathroom. That portion of
that's another topic for another day.
Yeah, but writing books and writing music that neither is published works anywhere. Doesn't qualify you to run for office. I'm sorry, but anyway.
I mean, hey, he or she, or Ashley can relate to the common everyday person that's struggling because those people are struggling.
No,
the writers.
They
yes,
can't.
they are in that world. You don't think that they're struggling? Come on. Why would he even say something like that? I mean, how is he connecting? He's an angry person.
Yeah.
How is he connecting? Is that his connection with people? I guess that's how I'm reaching. I know, but that's how I see it.
I know, and I get it. But I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the four candidates that's running for Maine, for U.S. Senate out of Maine. Now, I guess you could say a little update. There is a guy by the name of Troy Jackson who is going to emerge as the front runner. This is a little bit older footage, but Troy Jackson is going to emerge as the nominee in replacement of Graham Plattner, the serial rapist, abuser, womanizer, Nazi tattoo guy. For those that don't know who I'm talking about, so there's that.
Yeah, but
Now to that, they're picking a new candidate through a delegate process versus having a whole new primary and letting the voters decide who they want to pick. To me, I that is a slap in the face to the voters because they did pick a nominee, and because of all the allegations and everything. See, the Republicans in Maine and at the national level, they were silly to get involved in this regard. I would have let that play. I would have put it out there, yes, but I would have had to let that play out and let him just got creamed when it came time for the elections. Roll all that out, in the general, and then hey, he's sunk in the polls. He's a done deal, and the Democrats can't then say, oh, it's still our guy, no matter what, type of thing. They'd be like, yeah, you want to hang your hat on that? Go right ahead. Watch, you should lose by, triple digit points because he's gonna probably get 0 votes. So that's how I would have done that. But they did what they did, so it's kind of like, all right, you got lucky. Consider yourselves lucky in that regard. But I would have let it ride and said, okay, now you got the worst candidate compared to the best incumbent, in the Senate.
yeah.
But now they got this question mark that's coming along who can just sit back and kind of like just keep his mouth shut because there's not really enough time to do the oppo on him and create the case for the people to vote against him. There's not really enough time for all that now. So I said, it's a missed opportunity, and they'll learn about it, and they'll learn about it on election night in November. So, but
well, I think a lot of the stuff comes out, and every man's got some kind of laundry that needs to be exposed, and they're this, that, and the other. And I think that's just the common thread in most politicians, because I have represented some candidates here, well, in California, and I'm like, do what you need to do, right? But do not put your laundry out there because you haven't even gotten in the office, So
right,
we're at an event. He wants to go pursue someone, and obviously he has a fiance at home, and talking about this as he addresses his constituents, as he's campaigning. And I'm like, you can't stop anybody from doing what they want to do. But you haven't even gotten in the office yet. So it's like, hold on. Let's not do that yet.
Yeah.
And wait till you're in office.
Yeah.
And then do what you need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. But that goes to show that people show their true colors after 30 days. That's the old saying goes. You know who a person is by their fruit, by the labor. A person by the labor of their fruits, and a person after 30 days. When you're around them like that all the time, like their persona, their character, and all that. Like, okay, this person's gonna be trouble, and on day 31. They're gonna be trouble right out the gate. You already know. It's just like, okay, you're doing all this right now. You're gonna be okay. All right. We gotta keep a leash on you. So,
and whoever was representing Ashley, I would probably have gone down the route of understanding, like, okay, what are you really passionate about, and start there. Maybe city council, maybe being on some other board, something where you can make a difference. But
I would love to.
Here's a losing statement too. I've run for many offices.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, I was just saying. But I'm like, yeah, that's what I was. That was what my next point was. Like, he ran for all these different positions apparently, and I would like to get into that background of what did he run for, what happened there. I would love to, peel that onion back one day. But
I mean, I would have. Whoever's guiding him should have guided him to a different position.
Yeah, people like that. I doubt he has any consultants and any of that in his camp. I really doubt it. He's doing this on his own, and the media is saying, okay, this is earned media. We have to reach out to all the candidates and give them an opportunity to make an ass of themselves. Basically, that's what that was. That was nothing,
But you
nothing
do
else.
see that all the time.
Yeah.
You see that all the time. I know I see it. You know, like I can ask a candidate, why do you want to run? And I have. And they don't even know why. Like in this case, Ashley's angry. So he wants to
I
for
bet
civic,
Ashley is mad now with all the memes and stuff that's out there on him right now too. So, but
all right.
I want to jump into my favorite subject, the abolishment, or I guess you would say the repeal of the 16th Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, for those that have listened to me over the years, you understand by now that I cannot stand our tax system. I cannot stand the simple fact that we are paying, as individual people, we're paying local taxes, state taxes, and sales tax, income tax, a property tax. We're getting taxed to death on all kinds of stupid things for stupid reasons. And then the government collects all this money up from all of us people, and they send a majority of it. Hear me out. They send a majority of it around the world. And we have a broken infrastructure. We have homeless people on the streets. We have all kinds of ills and woes going on in this country that very amount of money that they collect up could resolve, fix, or alleviate almost all of those issues. And so it just chaps my ass that we have this system and people are like just kind of like we're so benevolent that we are just we're benevolent to our own demise, and to that we are ignorant as to why we are in the situations that we are in currently. And so I've been a staunch supporter of repealing the 16th Amendment. For those ladies and gentlemen that don't know what the 16th Amendment is, that is the amendment to the United States Constitution to levy taxes against you in the form of your income. Now, I will also preface that the terminology for income is misleading, because if I come to Tiffani and Tiffani has a business, has an establishment, and her and I work out a deal to where I work for her in her establishment, providing goods, services, whatever the case is, and she pays me X amount of money or some benefits, some perks or whatever else, that is compensation. That is not income. It's compensation because I'm providing something in return for something. So it's compensation.
Right.
It's a barter. It's a trade-off. Whatever you want to call it. But ladies and gentlemen, it is not income. Income, I would say you go get a lottery ticket and you scratch off and you hit $100. That's income. You go to, you walking down the street and you saw $5 on the ground and you pick it up. That's income, and because when you're paying your bills, guess what that's called? Outcome. The outcome is you're losing money. So you're paying for goods and services that you're consuming, and that's outcome. You're paying your debts. And so for me, it just really, really sets my soul on fire when I see every time I turn on the news and they're talking about taxes this, taxes that. And now Republicans, they think they're slick. Okay. Our leadership of Republicans, they think they're slick. And they sit here and they say, oh, well, we're going to cut taxes and we're going to do this. It's like, don't talk to me about cutting taxes. Talk to me about eliminating taxes. Talk to me about how, if you're serious, and this goes for both sides of the aisle. If you're serious about the affordability issue, everything that I just talked about in terms of sending money overseas and doing all this, collecting all these taxes from people, you can address the affordability issue by saying, hey, we're going to eliminate taxes. We're going to look at the tax system and see what money we're bringing in from what, and see how we can eliminate that, cut it, and put that into the private sector and let them figure that out like it was designed to be, ladies and gentlemen. And we go from there. Now, the taxes was a voluntary system. You could voluntarily say, hey, United States government, here's a check for $1,000. You know, I thank you for doing the great things that you do and being a steward of our money. Here you go. Do what you do. That used to be that way. I'm old enough to remember that. You know, so, but now it's like forced upon things. Like as soon as you get, you know, a penny into your bank account, they're looking for a way to tax it. And it's like, come on. What are we doing here? I don't know. Steph, your thoughts.
Well, here are my thoughts. And you know, the research that I have is that according to the 16th Amendment, there were taxes on tariffs. And I believe if you look at the history of that and you bring it to present day, that's kind of like what Trump is trying to do. Tax the you know, make sure you tax these people on these tariffs so that the majority of people don't have to pay, like you're saying, you know, the amount of income tax that they have to pay, right? Mm-hmm. That was the original idea of the 16th Amendment. But it also was because now the 16th Amendment is saying now that the slaves are freed, we need now to incorporate some more taxes. We have to make some more money according to the states. So, and you know, I hesitate to say that because, you know, it's kind of like, you know, because I'm from the South, I was born in the South, but we have to talk about this because it's the truth, right? We're educating people here. And I think people need to be educated, understanding some of the history so that you understand why you're being taxed. Absolutely. So, and you know, there's a lot going on behind, you know, and I know you and I will talk about voting, and voting is affected by certain things and redistricting, and that will dictate your income tax bracket too. So it goes far beyond the income tax game when we talk about the 16th Amendment.
Yes. Yeah, that's going to set up for another, I guess you'll say another episode, ladies and gentlemen. But to your point, Tiff, you're absolutely right. Prior to so ladies and gentlemen, just so you understand, the income tax system, as we know it today, came into effect, the 16th Amendment, in 1913, right? Follow me here. You had, prior to that, money coming into the government was coming through the form of tariffs, being taxed on goods and stuff that's coming in from, you know, other countries and whatnot. And then you had, like I said, the benevolence of the American people that said, oh, you know, let me write a check to the government. And this is what came in the form of bonds and, you know, the treasury bonds and all that kind of stuff. So people were investing in the government and sending money. And so as the government invested that money into infrastructure and everything else, and they got dividends and all that kind of stuff, and went back to the people and all that, we forget all of that. Or some people just don't know about how that system worked. And so the income tax, when slavery ended in 1865, you had, you know, all the way up through the 1870s, you had what was called the Freedmen's Bureau. And the Freedmen's Bureau, they were giving land and business opportunity grants and all this kind of stuff to the newly freed slaves in the United States. And they went out into the marshlands and into the wildernesses and to the deserts of the United States. And they established their own little silos of business and living and everything else. making money hand over fist. Ladies and gentlemen, you may have heard of Black Wall Street. You may have heard of Rosewood. You may remember Harlem, even. All of these bustling little places around the United States that were the enclaves for newly freed blacks and their posterity as the years went on. They're making all this money hand over fist. And some of them going back to those old plantations. Hey, I'm old master. How about you sell your house? I got the money right here, cash in hand. Let me buy this land from you. And that's like, shit, okay. I can downsize because I ain't got nobody to work this crap anymore. So yeah, give me what you got. Here you go. And all that was happening. See, ladies and gentlemen, it's very important to pick up a history book.
Yeah, but that was temporary. That was temporary. Thing.
True enough. It was temporary. And as
it was a
as
promise, but a temporary promise.
Yeah, and as time went on, the government sent back like, all these Negroes out here making all this money, and we sitting up here taxing Europe, we're taxing China, we're taxing the Indians, and they ain't paying a dime. Hey guys, let's talk for a minute. We got this predicament here. What do we need to do about this? Oh, I know. How about we just stop taxing everybody else and start taxing ourselves and include them into it? And there we go. Problem solved. Everybody's gonna be in the same playing field in this country. Great idea.
and
here we are.
Not everybody was created equal in that. No one. There was no fairness in that.
It wasn't.
There was no fairness in that.
It wasn't. And here's the kicker, ladies and gentlemen. And you think this is all a joke. I'm saying it in a joking manner. But when you look at the context of everything, this is not a joke. This is literally what happened. And to your point, Tim, they gave the premise of that it was equal. But you look at the class structure of being in different parts of the country, having different economic conditions, and you're saying, hey, you're going to pay 20% tax, you're going to pay 20% tax. If you're in New York, you're like, man, that's a lot. It's already expensive up here. But you're in the South, you're like, 20%? No problem. Matter of fact, I'm going to give you extra 5, just because you're being generous. You said, I'm going to pay 20%. I'm going to give you extra 5. But those classes of people in these different economic conditions, especially the newly freed African Americans and their next generation that were dealing with this, they didn't have the economic wherewithal to say, you know what, this sucks. Hell no, we ain't doing that. They were just like, all right, this is what we got to do because everybody else is doing it. That's what they was given. They didn't have a choice. Everybody else is doing it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they didn't have a choice.
Right.
They didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
You were a slave, and you were accounted as a slave, and anything that was living expenses, you were taxed on that. Now, once you became freed, it's like, okay, but wait a minute. Now that you're not enslaved anymore, you're a free slave. But now you still are not a free person, sovereign person, because now in order to make a living, you now have to go work for the sharecropper. Okay? You cannot have a business. If you have a business, because they knew who you were, you're going to be taxed. And you're going to be taxed so unfairly that you're not even going to be able to have a business.
Rise above it. Yeah.
So the tables were always imbalanced. There was no fairness. So either you were going to maintain, okay, so you're a slave today. Oh, and then we're going to give you 40 acres and a mule. And then you can take that land and you can produce that land and you can do so many fabulous things. And then, you become free. But now, oh, wait, no. Now, instead of knowing that slave, we're not going to say that you're particularly a slave, but you still have to do, in order to live, you've got to do this.
Yeah.
So the 40 acres and the mule that they promised, right, was never promised. It was temporary. I'm going to give you this land. I'm going to give you this. Oh, wait. Let me take it back. Because now that this The shareholders have to have the land for you to work,
Ladies and gentlemen,
but freely.
ladies and gentlemen, and this is where you have your current day fight on property taxes. You sit there and you buy a house, you pay for it in cash. The land that it sits on, you pay for all of that. And now you got this some retard come along, and yes, I know somebody will say, "Oh, it's offensive. Don't say retard." Yeah, some retard that come along, and they're like, "Oh, you got to pay property taxes. Your house is sitting on the land, and you got resources under it that belongs to the state, so you got to pay property taxes for that. And that money that you're paying in property taxes is going to go fund that school, although you got no kids in it. So pay up, so." Yes, it's a perpetuated system of economic slavery. And you're like, how is it possible that I buy this land? I bought this acre, this plot of land, however big it is. You bought this plot of land, you put a house on it, and for some strange reason, I still owe you money for it. Make it houseway. Make it make sense. Once again, we have become so benevolent as a society, as a country, that we create our own demise, and then we rationalize it. Yeah, we rationalize it. Exactly, we rationalize it as, oh, well, we have to help the next person. Oh, we got to help the next country. Hell, in a few years, we're gonna have to help the next world, because guess what? We're releasing the UFO files now, and now those aliens out there. They see what we got going on down here, and they're gonna be like, you know what? We need welfare up here too. So help us out, y'all giving money out to everybody else and giving them food stamps and all this. And help us out of here. That's where we going, ladies and gentlemen. I kid you not. Mark my words.
Okay. I guess I hear what you're saying, but as they say, when you travel, put the air mask on yourself first, and then the child or anyone else that's in need. Yeah. We don't even have any money to be giving anyone because we need it ourselves. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, we have crises here that we have not yet dealt with. We've got our own people on the street. How are you going to have your own people on the street and then feel some compassion for somebody else? And it can't work. Yeah. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So that's what why are we giving so many dollars and money and all to other countries? And I'm not saying that they don't deserve it.
They don't.
But
no, they don't. The hell they don't. Tiff, I'm a business guy with them. Okay, what's in it for me? Why am I paying into a pot and giving it to somebody else, and they're doing God knows what with it? And you tell me, you come back to me and say, well, you're not going to get anything out the deal, but you need to give some more money up so we can give it to the next country and to this country and to these people and to this project and to this community and to that and this and that third. And it's like, what the hell? What am I getting out of all of this? Wait, time the hell out. What am I getting out of this? That's what I want to know. What am I getting out of this? Because when I go to file my income taxes, guess what? I can't go to the OMB, the Office of Management Budget, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know what that is, it's in the Congress. In Washington D.C., and that's where they lay out the budget and determine how much is going to be spent. Yeah. And all that. I can't go in there and say, "Hey, I need receipts. I need so I can do my taxes. I need to see exactly how much I paid into every damn stupid thing that y'all did. Yeah, so I can get some money back." We can't do that. And when people talk about the sales tax, I said, okay. That's free money that I'm giving away, because guess what? Local taxes, I can't claim that on my federal income taxes.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to keep a stack of receipts from every week that I go grocery shopping or go put gas in my car. All these little taxes that I'm paying, I believe it is 8.25% or something like that here in Austin, Texas. So I'm getting taxed 8 cents on the dollar, every time I do something. I can't claim that back. But I can't claim that back. So that's for more free money that I'm giving away every year, and that's local.
That was
post state tax. Yeah, I can't claim that back. So why is it that we're being held accountable and he's just going, oh, we're going to tax the rich. We're going to tax the rich. Guess what the rich are going to do? They're going to pack up and move. And they're going to evade taxes. They're going to say, you know what? I ain't got nothing. I ain't got you, bro. I'm tapped out this month.
They put it in different structures. Like, they put it in different structures so they cannot really be accountable. So you're going to after an entity. You're not going after the person. You're going after an entity. And it's really interesting in this country that they give more credence to an entity than a person. When you set up your business, it's an entity. And they're like, and they're like, the promise that you're going to do good in that entity is what they're basing their success on, the success of that business, right? They're like, their faith is like, you're going to have this business, you're going to do right, you're going to employ more people, you're going to, all this stuff is going to happen because you now are a business owner.
Yeah, it's crazy. And the other crazy thing to me for as an American citizen is if I wanted to get ahead of life, and I want to compete on the national, even in the international stage, I got to compete with people that are coming into the country that are given the opportunity that I'm trying to get before.
True. That's true.
It's like, how is it possible that whoever, Arab Joe, Indian Bob, Wu-Tang Clan, or whatever, how is it fucking possible? How is it possible that they come over and they get grants, they get loans, they get all this, they qualify. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to this. They qualify fresh off the boat, fresh off the plane, fresh off the UFO ship. They qualify to get these things. They got no social security number because the social security number system is only unique to American citizens in the United States, and it's tied to a credit score. They have no credit score. They have no social security number. But however, they qualify.
Yeah.
They qualify. You as the American citizen, you don't qualify because your credit score is 630. You don't qualify because you have a light bill that's in your name that your mama put in your name that was never paid off 25 years ago. You don't qualify because you don't have enough of a credit history. You don't qualify because you're black, you're Asian, you're white, but you're an American citizen. We gotta give opportunities to these group of people under the affirmative action because they meet the criteria that we're looking for under Title 10 of the United States Code. You're like, wait. You trying to tell me that I'm paying money into a system that I can't even utilize, and you say I'm unqualified to you? How about this? I'm unqualified to pay taxes, ladies and gentlemen. If I'm not qualified to reap the benefits of the things that are the programs and everything else that is being utilized in this country, then I'm unqualified to pay taxes. How about that? You tell Indian Bob, Habib Joe, the Wu-Tang Clan, you tell them that they're unqualified because they haven't paid into this thing. How are they qualified for Social Security? How are they qualified for Medicaid, Medicare? How are they qualified for food stamps and they ain't even pay into the system? How are you drawing Social Security? You fresh off the boat and you 74 years old. And you ain't worked a day of your life in the United States. And then then I call the Social Security office and say I want to file for my Social Security because I'm newly retired and I'm 67 years old and I've been working for the last 45 years. Oh, sir, you have to work an additional 3 years because we raised the Social Security age and you still don't qualify because we don't have enough money to pay you. Bitch, I put the money in there. What do you mean? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I know. I'm doing my Cat Williams. Wait a minute. I put money in this. You talking about somebody you ain't got the money to pay me? What?
We really need to really take a deeper look into what this system really is and who put it together and what time they put it together, when they put it together, what hour. Because if I am correct, the IRS was a group of people that came together during a vacation period where everybody went recessed, right? In December for vacation. But a small group of people got together and decided to pass a law saying that this group of people now governs the tax system.
You know, I'm glad you said that. The IRS, idiots. Oh,
You just don't like them.
idiots reinforcing stupidity is what I call the IRS. And I say it again, idiots reinforcing stupidity. Because guess what? A lot of the tax codes are not codified in law. You're right. These are a bunch of bureaucrats that sit around. They came together and said, hey, how are we going to get some money out of these people? Okay, let's just create these rules and we're going to just enforce them. That's it. That's literally it. You know, most of members of Congress don't even know what's in the damn tax codes. They don't even know because they're not laws. That's the crazy part. They're not even laws.
Oh, well, yeah. But then when you go, yeah. Yeah.
So when the IRS comes knocking on your door, they say, you owe the IRS money. You owe me money. How about that money? You know, it's just like, it could go back and forth. And so that's why in the Biden administration, they decided to arm the IRS when they come out and, look for us everyday people, because they know they're in the wrong. They know, like, we can't just going out there rolling up on people telling us they owe us money. That's too much like gangster shit. So we gotta be strapped, and so now we gotta rob them at gunpoint, type of thing. That's what it is. That's what it has boiled down to, because it's not law.
Yeah.
It's a shakedown
Not
by
law.
the government. That's what it is. And so people like, oh, Randy, you're saying some crazy shit, right? Yeah, I shouldn't have to say, but it's happening.
Yeah.
That's the mind-blowing thing. It's happening. Ladies and gentlemen, please look up the tax codes and tell and please send me what US law does it correspond to. I'll wait. It don't exist. It's the crazy. It is so crazy. We have these 30,000 foot laws that says, matter of fact, it's under the necessary and proper clause of Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8, of the Constitution. It's the Congress has all authority, all vested authority in creating the laws of the land. They may create laws that are necessary and proper to the enforcement of said law. And you will find that clause at the end of almost every constitutional amendment as well. And so they create these broad stroke laws, and bureaucrats come along and they create these little policies and these little regulations to try to enforce the law itself in a broader spectrum. And so you can't point to a law per se that's speaking to that regulation because it don't exist. Congress did not codify that particular regulation into law. And so when you challenge it and you take it to court, guess what? You win, because what law is the court interpreting?
That's true. Well, I mean, we could go on and on this one. This is a good topic. I mean, we could go into, voting poll taxes and everything. So I think that could be another topic for another day, because we could expand that one.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Tiff, final thoughts. We do got to get up out of here.
I know. I'm just trying to get you off your soapbox.
Success.
Well, and I love the way that we brought up the senatorial race what was that?
The U.S.
What
Senate.
was that called? Yeah, where they
Oh, it was
help me out here.
forum. Yeah, it was a senatorial
The forum. There we go. Forum. I'm sorry. I'm looking for the word. I can't find the word. I'm like, what really was that? Okay, but
It was actually
I
a
love
shit show.
I love how we brought that to the forefront today, because one of the other things that people were talking about is, voting and all that, were the redistricting of counties. And so how that affects voting, and a lot of people, especially in Tennessee, because they really, about a week ago, they redistricted in some of the area of Tennessee, and some of the people there were worried that they would take them back to what we were talking about today prior to the 16th Amendment. Would they still have the power to vote? Will they take their right to vote? So I believe that we have so much to talk about on that we should do another episode.
Absolutely. No, I agree. And that is a great topic to talk about next. So I appreciate you, Tiff, and have fun this weekend. Stay out of trouble. I'm not sending you any bail money, so don't ask. 'Cause I know.
Well, no, I'm always good. Always. I don't do anything over here. I mean,
No, but have fun, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
All right. God bless. Ladies and gentlemen, Tiffany Jones. Hey, I apologize not. I'm just keeping it real with you all, that we have problems, and we need to address these problems. We need to elect representation that will address these problems and take it seriously. I laid down the blueprint for you, and I'm predicting what's going to happen. It's a hot ass mess that we're in, as a society, as a country, hell, even as a world. We're in a hot mess right now. And a lot of people, they see it, but they're too afraid to say something about it. They're too afraid to buck the system and do something about that and say, you know what, no more. We this is unsustainable. But hey, folks, I'm getting up out of here. It is Friday evening. I hope you all enjoyed, and let's catch you next week sometime, and be safe. God bless, and ciao. I hope you enjoyed today's program. You can follow, like, share, subscribe on Spotify, Substack, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and your news. And also, you can download Let the Truth Be Told app on your favorite streaming platforms, such as Fire Stick, Apple TV, and Roku. Take care. God bless.